Aloha and welcome to Giving Aloha. My name is Christine Altwies and I am the Executive Director of Hawaii International Child. Hawaii International Child is a state licensed, nonprofit, licensed, accredited by Hague child placing organization that has been in Hawaii since 1975. Since the 1950s, the demand for international adoption by Americans has been on a steady increase. However, in recent years, due to a number of issues, international adoption programs have started to decline. In order for HIC to continue to meet our mission of serving children and families, we have started to look at new kinds of programs to help orphan children and to match them with waiting adoptive families. Today we're going to be speaking a little bit about our waiting children adoption programs. We have a number of programs in different countries, and we wanted to share a little bit about what a waiting child is and what a waiting child adoption looks like. With me today, I'm very happy to have a number of guests. We have Lori Lay and Dane Felix and Katie Buck. These wonderful folks have or are in the process of adopting waiting children through different programs, some through HIC and some through other organizations. We're going to ask them to share a little bit about their process and about their children. We'll have some photos and video to show you. And our hope is that at the end of this 30 minutes you have learned a lot about intercountry adoption and waiting children and may feel encouraged to consider this. So why don't we start with you, Lori Lay, or Dane. Tell us a little bit about your child.
We are adopting our son. His name is Kai. He is coming from Taiwan and he is 13 now. He enjoys playing basketball. He likes cooking and he's like a, what would you say?
Well, he's seems to be a normal teenage kid. Does the things that normal kids do. They don't want to clean their room and stuff like that, but they love sports.
You already know this about him, that he's not going to clean his room?
Yeah, that was told to us. But he likes basketball. They have a regiment for him in the foundation. So they go to bed at a certain time. They do homework. They go to school. So it's all laid out for them, and we hope to continue what they're doing with him. Keep that consistency. So
just to be clear, this is your son who you're waiting to bring home from Taiwan. You've been matched with him, but you haven't yet met him?
We've talked to him through a Skype program. Oh. We had a session with him last week.
On Saturday.
On Saturday, our first one. We talked to him. He seems a little shy. He speaks Mandarin and a little bit of English, and they're trying to encourage him to speak English. And we're trying to learn Mandarin language as well through Hawaii International Child with John Trowbridge, give classes on Sunday. So we're trying to meet him halfway and make a commitment to meet him there.
Oh, very exciting.
Kai was smiling the whole time.
He was smiling.
He was smiling.
Oh, that must have been a wonderful experience to be able to connect with him through Skype and
yes, it was. Start
to get to know him a little better. Great. Okay. Well, we'll check back with you in a minute. Katie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your children?
I have a big family. I've got 3 sons, wonderful sons at home that are 6, 4, and 3. So my day starts, yes, I'm crazy. It starts very early in the morning with getting their school days ready and everything else, and I'm proudly waiting my first daughter arrival. She's 2 years old. We actually got to send a birthday cake to her for her birthday last month over at her orphanage, and got the most adorable little photos with, you know, hands in the cake and the crown on and everything else. But, you know, adoption and these wonderful children that have been brought into my life has been the blessing bestowed upon me. And so I can think of no greater moments than when I get to hug my sons and reach out and have these little lives in our, you know, in our day-to-day. So it's been exceptional. My 6-year-old came home as my latest adoption, actually. He was 5 years old when he joined our family from China. My 4-year-old and 3-year-old joined me at 9 months each, and they were from Korea. We did all special needs adoptions, and then my 2-year-old has a heart condition, and so we will help her with that as well. The best part is they've come home and they get to live absolutely normal, outstanding lives and be given the gift that I think everybody takes for granted, and that's family. And so we've just been privileged to be their parents. So it's an honor to sit up here with you guys. It's a blessing to have you in our lives and direct us to getting to these children and bring them into our house.
Thank you. I'm getting goosebumps already. So I think a lot of folks, when they hear waiting children programs, have preconceived notions about what a waiting child might be. And I think, one of the things that you could maybe help with would be to tell a little bit more about why your child or children were or are considered waiting children, and how you approached that individually as you were looking at starting a family or enlarging your family. What drew you to adoption? What drew you to the waiting child program?
Well, for us, our son Kai, he's 13, is his age that put him on a waiting child program. Basically, what drew us to adoption was every country has a list of requirements, and Dane and I fit perfectly in Taiwan.
So Kai is in an orphanage. He's 13. He'll be a little over 13 when he comes to you. He's been in the orphanage for?
Since he was 6.
Since he was 6. Okay. And so he recently was put into the adoption track, probably?
That is correct.
Okay. All right.
And
so
we found them through the Hawaii International Child Program. We're looking at their website, and they have many kids that need to be adopted, a lot of children. And we found him, and we're on a journey to make him part of our family.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Katie, what about your children?
Well, kind of like you guys, I actually, my first son, Caden, came home from Korea, and we were circumstantially, with our age and country criteria, forced to go to the waiting child program. And I think as a parent, the only thing we really want, and it doesn't matter how you build your family, is to have healthy kids. And I think that's hands down. You ask a woman when she's pregnant, is it a girl or a boy? She'll answer, I don't care, just make sure it's healthy. So when we were forced to look at, if you would, the waiting child program, at first I was taken aback on it and a little bit scared, quite honestly, because I didn't know what that meant. But as I started to study that and look at, as you guys were sharing, the photos and read the synopsises, that range of need can be drastic, but it also could be minor things in the United States that we don't consider, if you would, a medical condition that's not manageable, treatable, and that then the kids again can go on to live. Your son's old. That makes him special needs. I mean, to me, that's just silly. So we got to our first adoption through that, and what we discovered after bringing Caden home was that it was outstanding. Because when you go hold these little kids' hands and you walk through that orphanage and you see 300 kids that are sitting there waiting for lovely homes because maybe they have a missing digit, or maybe that they've got a cleft lip or palate, you think that's it? I can do this. I can absolutely make that impact you're talking about, Dane. So, it was something that for us in our family, after that decision was made with the first one, we knew it would be the route we would take with every single child we brought into our house. And so we've consciously decided with each of our 4 adoptions to go through the waiting child. And knock on wood, like I said, bringing them here to the States and giving them access to these, great medical doctors, and then giving them these love and support that they need, they get fulfilling, wonderful lives. And so to me, I think it is hands down the way that we need to see the adoption community grow in. And so I'm really privileged to be here and share that experience.
Thank you. So what I hear you saying is that each of your children, although part of a waiting child program, had very different reasons for being in the waiting child program. Some were age, some were medically correctable conditions. And I think for people watching and wondering about waiting children, this is important to hear, that you can adopt a child who can potentially have a so-called normal life and can grow up to be a productive, contributing member of society, can give you the joy and love and feedback that you as parents are hoping to have through the parenting process. And that many of the children are simply there because of their age, or because of conditions which in a foreign country or a country which may not have the modern medical opportunities that we have here, or the ease of access that we have, may be in the waiting children program, which is great to hear. I think on the other side there are probably also children who have more serious conditions in these programs, but it sounds like you were hoping for normal lives with children who could participate in everything, and that's what you ended up getting. Great. Okay, why don't you talk a little bit then about what some of your concerns were, or maybe what prevented you from jumping in quicker to adoption, if there were anything, what was anything that sort of prevented you from jumping in quickly?
For us, our first concern was the time frame. We've heard other parents talk about, or other people outside the community saying that the time frame was really long, the wait was really long. And once we started jumping in or started our process with HIC, that all changed. It went by quicker than expected.
It's going real fast.
It's just
And you
just
speak about
took off.
time frame. I don't know if it was true for you guys, but I noticed by looking at the Waiting Child program, it really moved up those time frames, where traditional routes, if you would have gone, would have taken years. In return, by looking at these wonderful listings and getting to know these kids, we had our children home within a year of entering and engaging the process. So compared to engaging and waiting 3-4 years. So for families that want to bring home children faster, I thought the Waiting Child program offered that potential. I don't know how you felt.
Right. We've heard some stories where it took like 8 years. And that's a long time to wait. But the Waiting Child program, they're there waiting for homes already. And you know, as couples that looking for children, you want to bring them in as fast as you can so you can get your family together, start building your family, get them to school, give them a good life, get them the things that they need to become the adults that we want them to be, good adults.
Yeah, that's a nice thought. Yeah. So something you said just made me think about the waiting period and how in traditional adoption programs you submit your paperwork and you are assigned a child. Now you always have the option to say, no thank you, this doesn't feel right for us. It's very important that every match be a good match and that families and children are meant to be together. And we in the field of adoption really believe that, you know, having seen thousands of adoptive families, we really believe that the children and the families are meant to be together. When you see a child with their parents, you can't help but think this was meant to be. Look at how harmonious they're living together, or look how they're starting to resemble one another, or, you know, look how this child has given this mom grief, just what that mom really needed. But this makes me think about the Waiting Child program, whereas Katie just mentioned, you have the opportunity to really take your time, look through waiting child lists, and select the child who you feel, with the help of your social worker maybe, is the most appropriate for you. Is that how it worked for you?
I think in the adoption process you feel like a lot's beyond your control because you're waiting on social workers to give you home study approvals. You're waiting on government to get different paperwork processes and letting you be acceptable. What was great in the Waiting Child program is I could choose my child in some ways, and so it was some way that I gained back a sense of the process to which I felt, and I felt an immediate attraction to each of my sons and my daughter. The moment I saw their little photos, and in fact with my third one, I didn't even see a photo, I just read a brief paragraph and I knew these were little bucks, these were guys that were going to come home and they were mine. And it wasn't a matter of, you know, geography and how far the distance we had to travel, it wasn't a matter of which country they came from or these things, but something led me to my kids. And the attraction I had with the Waiting Child program was that I got to see them and get a lot of affirmations in there. And then you're given lots of time when you're presented with the child file to be able to, you know, assert a doctor's opinion and be able to consult if you need spiritual guidance, your family members, and that support groups that are really important. And so that was really, you know, again, empowering, I think, throughout the process, as opposed to somebody else choosing my child for me. I got to choose my children, and they know that, and it's great when we show them now these photo listings and they look on it and they go, that's how you found me, Mommy? And you know, I can point to them and share with it. And I don't know, that was something that really worked well for us and our family.
That's a wonderful point. And we call them chosen children often, and in this case you really are choosing your child, and I like how you say you sort of are able to tell your children that we sought you out of all the thousands who are waiting. We really were led to you, we felt a bond to you. That's very touching. I've got goosebumps. You also mentioned a little bit about the information you're given. I think sometimes there may be the fear that when you take a waiting child, it's sort of, you know, you agree to take a child, you know, no going back, you say yes and that's it. Important probably to point out that you get lots of sociodynamic reports on the child's development, you get information about the child's medical and academic, if appropriate, background, you get lots of medical test results, measurements, blood work, immunization records, right? And you are encouraged to take these to a doctor to get an independent medical evaluation before you say yes. And if there is going to be any corrections needed medically, such as if the child had a cleft lip, cleft palate, or a congenital heart defect, you have the resources lined up before you bring the child home.
That's right.
And that's okay, wonderful. Just want to clear that up. Let's talk a little bit then about what you would tell people who are maybe considering adoption or who maybe haven't started a family yet and are wanting to. Any words of advice or encouragement you could give to someone who may see this and say, I've always wanted to be a parent, but it just doesn't feel like something I can do?
Because we would say, just do it.
Go do it.
Just go and do it. Actually, I think every parent or every adoptive parent has a special place in their heart, and it's already there. So just follow that lead. Just go and do it.
That's nice.
I say do it. You want to be a parent? There are children, many children out there that are looking for great homes, and you can provide that. So, you know, it's kind of exciting, part exciting and part scary, the different combination of it. Anxious. But you get anxious, but you go do it. As we're going through this process, as we get closer, it's getting more exciting instead of scary. It's scary at first and switching. But I tell you, you want to adopt, you want to have a family, go do this. Go check the waiting list, the waiting child list. You'll find one. You'll find one that fits for you.
Well, then the process does seem scary. However, it's broken down into stages, or into steps.
Right.
So it's not all one big jump all at once.
Right.
That you know people might think.
And you get great support through it. The team with Hick that we've worked with, and Lisa, and coming through, the process when they do a home study, it's not intrusive. It's supportive. You know, and the paperwork mountain that you know have to work through. It goes away. Yeah, it does go away, and it's not all at once, like you pointed out. So you know, the process I think is something that's very manageable, and once you begin down that journey, as you said, just do it. It's not as overwhelming as the perception is on the back end. I think, you know, I don't know. Having the moment to share your lives with somebody else that you don't have to, but you choose to, gives you a sense of fulfillment and meaning that you can't get anywhere else. People volunteer their time for an hour here and there. People can write a check for a donation. But opening up your heart and your home and being, I think, what this world needs, to me, is something that is my life motivation. And so if a parent out there to be, or if anybody is considering adoption, I think it is the best experience that I've ever had the chance to partake upon. And I think we all know the fulfillment as being parents, and it doesn't matter how you come to be a family, but this is a legacy that you get to leave behind. And with that, you get to do so much more than just have an existence, but you get to be the person that you hope your little one will grow to be. I mean, it would be for me dynamic if I could watch my children one day grow and build their families potentially through adoption and giving this gift, you know, to sequential generations there. Of course, I'd love to never see the need for it. You know, it would be ideal, but there are realities in our world, and we are privileged and we are blessed as we live in America to have this opportunity. When I traveled through China with my latest son, people would weep with him in the corner. And these men and women would come up to him and they would say, "You are so fortunate, you are so lucky." And I thought, you know, oh, is it because they're coming home to us? And it had nothing to do with that. He had a chance to come to America. He had a chance to be whatever he wanted to be, to create a life that these individuals never would get a chance at. So to open that door and do that, anybody who's looking at this program, Christine, and anybody that's considering this, you cannot look at any hurdle and not think it's overcomable. I mean, this is done repetitively, constantly, and easily at this point in time, because it's very systematic as a result of it.
One step at a time.
Absolutely.
I think anytime you're looking at doing something, it's very scary before you start, but you find that once you take that first step and you start to really let it come into you and live with it, it becomes much easier and much more a part of you. And I think when you're standing there considering your life as it is, maybe without children, and it's very predictable and controllable, and you know what, when, how, where, and then you think, I'm opening myself up to a child that I don't know, from a country that I'm not familiar with possible needs that I can't or won't be able to know in advance. Very scary. But what we tell people over and over is that being a parent is very scary, but it's far more rewarding than scary. That the scary part is quickly overshadowed by all the joy and the daily growth that you as parents will start to do, and that once you jump in, you know, you'll start to live with it. But I think we like to go through life with guarantees. We like to know what's coming at us, and you know, being a parent is going to shatter that. In every possible way, because life as a parent is a daily challenge and daily growth and daily, you know, thinking on your feet and, you know, trying to respond to needs or questions that you could never have anticipated. Right. And that's why those of us who are parents through adoption or parents anyway love being parents, and we'll keep doing it as long as we can, and we'll enjoy every moment of it. Even when we're thinking that we're not enjoying it and we're sleep deprived and stressed out, because, you know, the reason we keep doing it is because at the end of the day, the joy is so much greater. But speaking of that unknowing and you know, wondering about what's coming at you, we have, I think, a nice little photo montage to show now. Someone said, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so this is probably a couple million words worth of pictures that we're going to show of Katie's family coming home. Yeah,
I think it will be my first son, actually, that I'll share with everybody. Okay. And you know, as a first-time parent, welcoming that child into your arms, I think these pictures capture the moment.
Great. Okay, so let's watch this. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. So let's end with any last words you might have about some of your happiest moments as a parent or a parent-to-be. Anything you want to share with our audience about your experience either leading up to your adoption or as a mom?
Well, I think our happiest moment, well, my happiest moment right now, because we're parents-to-be, we had our first Skype meeting with Kai on Saturday after Thanksgiving, so the first Saturday after Thanksgiving. We finally got a chance to talk to him in person, because prior to that we're just emailing each other. And my happiest moment was when Kai said happy birthday to his mom.
To you?
To me.
He said,
happy birthday, Mom. Well, actually, first he said it in Mandarin, and someone encouraged him to say it in English, so he did say happy birthday, Mom. So he did remember my birthday, although my birthday was in the beginning of November.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that must
so-
have been wonderful.
Yeah, that was a precious mom moment.
Oh.
All that magical moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So far, this whole journey has been wonderful. And to add on to my wife's comment, I was very happy that he told her happy birthday, Mom, because we've been waiting for that, you know, and it just grabbed our hearts.
Yeah.
It grabbed our hearts.
To hear those words, to be validated as a parent.
Right, right.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
Well, now you guys have me all choked up. I would just like to say thank you to my sons, to my daughter for coming into my life and for giving me the gift of pure joy, of love, and it is something that I wake up every morning and am so honored to be able to be their mom. So in my son's words, wo ai ni, or sarang heyo, I love you. Thank you, boys.
Awesome.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's very moving. I have to say that people often ask, you know, how do you know that you can love a child who you don't give birth to as much as a child that you give birth to? And
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter,
There's no
Christine.
difference.
yeah, well, it doesn't matter. And as the mom of birth and step and adopted children, I can definitely attest to the fact that love knows no boundaries, and it doesn't matter how a child comes into your life. But once a child is there who needs you, I think as parents, our biggest need is to be needed. And to be needed is so gratifying. That's what we live for. So thank you very much for sharing your stories with us and for encouraging those who may be considering adoption or starting a family through any means to jump in and do it. You're all living testaments to the fact that you can not only survive it, you can thrive and and keep doing it,
Right.
and start at any age and consider a child of any age. So thank you very much for opening up and sharing with us.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you. Thank you.
It's
Thank
an
you
honor.
for what you do at HIC. You folks make a difference every day.
Yep.
Every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's gratifying to have work that you love, I have to say that. So this has been Giving Aloha. Thank you very much for watching.